The one thing I tell younger women or women that are starting out is do not let someone else drive your financial future. You deserve a seat in the driver's seat. You shouldn't be a passenger. You dang sure shouldn't be hitchhiking on the side of the road. You should be driving this bus.
Life Reimagined with Stacey Ray.
Before we hear some fantastic financial advice, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and follow us so you never miss an episode of Life Reimagined. Hi, ladies. Let's be real for a second. Managing your finances can feel really scary. Whether it's navigating a big life change or just trying to figure out where your money's really going, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or unsure. But as women, we must take control of our financial futures. And luckily, we don't have to do it alone. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce someone who's changing the way women approach money. I want you to meet Lorie Jones, certified financial planner and the powerhouse behind Fearless Financial Advisors. Now, Lorie's not your typical finance pro. She specializes in helping high-income women, especially those going through big transitions like divorce or widowhood, take charge of their finances with clarity, confidence, and maybe even a few laughs along the way. Lorie brings precision, creativity, and compassion to everything she does. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and get ready because today we're diving into how you can start building your financial future fearlessly. Hi, Lorie. It is so nice to see you. How are you?
I am doing great this morning.
Is that pink?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you and I are apparently wardrobe soul sisters.
I know, because we were both wearing green last time, right?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I just taped an episode of your podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we were both wearing the same shade of green. And today, here you are gracing me with your presence, and we are both in pretty close to the same shade of pink. So welcome, Lorie. Thanks for doing this. It's probably early for you, but I do appreciate it.
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited about this, Stacey. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. So, first of all, let me ask you. I've heard you say that you fell in love with financial planning. How does one fall in love with financial planning?
I know that's a great question, Stacey, and you hit the nail on the head. You're like, it's a little scary. People, women especially a lot of
Right.
times feel like they're not prepared for it. So they are like, "Ugh, finance, it's not my thing." Well, I had 5 kids and I was a stay-at-home mom for several years. And when my youngest child reached about first grade, my 3 older ones were boys, and they were basically eating me out of house and home. I can't even tell you. Those kids, there was like no off switch.
Okay.
And I'm like, gosh, somebody better go get a second job around here to feed these boys, right? So
Right.
I just headed out to the workforce. I was going to find a secretary. I just needed a paycheck.
Right.
And I ended up being a secretary at a financial services firm in South Denver. And this is where I just fell in love with finance. I just could not, I didn't even know there was such a career out there where you get to help people, and that's what I say I do. You help people make their dreams come true. I loved the insurance planning piece. I loved helping them to understand that it wasn't difficult. It was really, financial concepts are really simple at their heart, but people try and make them difficult, talk over their head, or use big words, or try
Act
and
controlling about what you can or cannot do with your money. I love what you just said, that you can help people make their dreams come true. That right there says to me, you're not the kind of financial planner that I hear about at all, because everyone I know that has a financial planner will tell me, well, my financial planner said I can't do that, or that, I mustn't, blah, blah, blah. And here you are saying, wait a minute, I'm here to help you make what you want come true.
Yeah. I have a very values-based approach, and you mentioned that I'm a certified financial planner. I've got an MBA. I started working on the CFA. Like, I've got a lot of letters behind my name.
Right.
So I've got all the intellectual and actual practical sort of steps, but what I do is I take a values-based approach, like,
Oh,
what is important to you? I've got clients that family is most important. And so for them, we craft their financial plan so that they can leave a legacy for their kids because that is filling their bucket. They don't care about travel, they don't care about toys. They want their kids to have that. And so that's how we look at their financial planning. We set up Roth accounts for the kids. We work on getting that money as efficiently as possible to their children because that's their value. And
right,
there's others where they're like, I feel like these experiences are most important. And I'm sure that you'll appreciate that. They're like, we don't want to leave a bunch of money for the kids. We
right,
want to leave them a legacy.
right,
And so we work on making sure that they've got a fund set up for travel, something that they're saving that they can, take their kids on these experiences,
right,
that they can do those things. And those are two separate values. Those are two
right,
separate ways of looking at an overall financial plan, right?
right. And so, to me, anything with numbers involved in it is a hard no, hard stop for me, not something I'm falling in love with. So, as far as skills go to do what you do, it's not just a matter of basic accounting or basic finance. What really do you need to bring to the table as far as your skill set, your character, your interest level, in order to be really effective at what you do?
I say that I've got a superpower, and my superpower is making order out of chaos. And so
Ooh.
so I take that chaotic world of numbers and finance and deep
Mhm.
dives and allocations and all these words that I could throw around,
Right.
and I turn them into concepts that make sense and pictures and things that you can understand, because at the heart of it, it is simple. So like you say, you put dollars in front of it, it does get very difficult when you start talking about, oh well, you've got 10% up or 10% down or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you say, okay, you're going to lose this much. That is, and you put it in like a picture term, like that's enough to buy a vacation to Italy.
Right.
Like, or you'll gain this much and that's how much, and so you kind of put it in terms that speak to their values
Okay.
and pictures. A lot of times the numbers and the charts don't mean much to people, but I've got this I've I'm such a geek, but I've got this great financial planning software that turns it into numbers and real world sort of things. A lot of people have accounts all over the place, and they've
Right.
left 401ks here and they've got IRAs over here. And we kind of boil it down, put it together, make it simple and easy so that they can make really good informed decisions based on their money because it's not my dream. It's not my money. It's
Right.
theirs. And they need to kind of understand what it's doing for them now and what it
Mhm.
could be doing for them. And I love it when they finally see that whole picture like kind of boiled down and they're like, "Oh, well, could I do this?" And I'm like, let's look. And
Right.
I have a client who wants to buy an apartment in a big city, and it's her dream. And she's like, could I? And so we put the numbers in, we looked at the pictures, and I'm like, yeah, and easily. And so she's getting to realize that dream.
How exciting. Yeah. So, Fearless Financial Advisors, you work with women who come to you primarily at what age?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I do work primarily with women. I don't discriminate against men. We
Right,
take them. But
right.
but
Yeah,
I really love watching women make their
right,
dreams come true. So they're about probably about 45, 50. So they're right in those high earning years, maybe have kids, maybe don't, but they are looking at, 15, 20 years to retirement,
right,
and they're ready to start super saving. They've been focused on maybe raising kids, getting their husband's career established, and now they're ready to go and just start saving so that they have a comfortable retirement. And they don't know what that means a lot of times, like
yeah.
it's really hard to think 20 years in the future, like, which shoes am I gonna wanna buy 20 years from now? Like, you never know that, right?
Well, right, but also, the economy is dynamic. I mean, it changes from minute to minute and year to year. And I think that's a big question I have for you is as a financial planner, how do you project or even begin to project the unexpected?
So Stacey, that's seriously my favorite part. It is,
Oh,
because what we do is we put all their information into the system, and then the system kind of behind the scenes, it runs its little program, and it comes up with like what ifs. A lot of my women clients are worried about, what if I go what if I need care at an old age? That a lot of them are divorced or single or never married, and they don't have that safety net of like a large family, and they're like,
right,
and that's one of their primary concerns. So we'll stick that what if scenario in, and we'll say,
right.
okay, well, what if you do, what if you have to go into care for 5 years? Can your financial plan handle that? And it spits out a really great picture saying yes or no. And then we start talking about, okay, well, it didn't give us the answer we wanted, it said no. How do we how do we turn that into a yes? Do we look at long-term care insurance? Can we increase our savings rate to make it more likely that
Hmm.
we'll hit that? So you're right, there's so many unknowns and what ifs out there. And I found so many times that as they come in and sit down with me and we kind of talk through this, and we do it every year. So we
Okay.
don't just do it once and be like,
Once
okay,
and
we're set, we're
yeah,
good, no problems. We do it like every single year. And sometimes if they have a big change, like retirement, or their kid is going to college, or something like that, we'll sit down and do the what if scenarios again. And those are just such important questions to not just go over once and set it and forget it, but go over it again and again and again.
is it ever too late in life to seek out the help of a financial planner?
I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
that even if you're like just years from retirement
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have a lot saved, I think that we can kind of give you ideas on how to structure things so that you can make the most of what you had. I had a woman who came to me, and she didn't have very much at about 2 years before retirement.
Right.
And so we talked, and honestly, I said, I think we probably need to start looking at like what sort of part-time jobs we can get during retirement to
To
supplement
supplement.
social security or something like
Right.
that. But the answer isn't ever there's nothing to be done. The answer is, here are
What
some of the
can we
things
do?
we can
Right.
do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
here's some options.
Yeah.
What do you find is the most common set of anxieties and fears that women have about finances in general?
I think that women have been told that finance is difficult, hard,
Mhm.
and they wouldn't understand it. And that I really do. I think
I've
that,
been told that, you wouldn't understand.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just let us handle it. You wouldn't
Yeah.
understand. And I've even seen, sitting in these rooms, I've seen men when they don't want or understand the woman's question,
Yeah.
they will start using really big words and big concepts instead of just saying, I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't know the answer to that question. Let me get back to you.
So that's that one step beyond mansplaining, because instead
Yeah.
of breaking it down into the most basic terms, now they're trying to elevate it to scare us even more.
Yeah, they scare
Yeah.
us. And it's not exclusively men. I
No,
honestly
I
think that might
understand.
be
Yeah.
like a financial
Yeah.
planner sort of thing. Like if we don't
Yeah.
understand what you're asking us, rather than
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we'll look at that and I'll get back to you," instead of
Yeah.
saying that, we're like, "Well, let me throw around these really big concepts and terms and stuff like that to
Right.
confuse you so that you don't realize I don't know the answer to your questions."
Yeah. Do you think women feel a sense of I don't want to I don't know if embarrassment is the right word, but almost a sense of I'm not good enough when they come to you because they think maybe they don't have enough and they haven't done a good job, or everything is just chaotic, and as you say, you love to organize chaos, but do you think there is that sense of lack of confidence in even approaching the topic?
Yeah, and that's not specific to women either. Like I
Ah,
find that across the board that that is one of the biggest reasons you don't talk to a financial planner in general with every kind of every age group, every
yeah.
demographic is that they're embarrassed, they don't think they've done it right, they're not sure, they don't know what they don't know and they're embarrassed to ask.
What do you think, in your opinion, is the biggest change from what you would tell, younger women now to what we were being told? Because, I mean, everything that you've said is so true. We've basically been told, we don't worry your pretty little head about that, lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that question too. I will tell you that the one thing I tell younger women or women that are starting out is
Hmm.
do not let someone else drive your financial future. You deserve a chance, a seat in the driver's seat. You shouldn't be a passenger. You dang sure shouldn't be hitchhiking on the side of the road. You
Right.
should be driving this bus. I don't care how much you trust the person that you're married to or as your significant other. You need to be in that room. You need to be having those conversations. I think too that they need that seat at the table because they do not know what's in their future. And I've seen so many women after a divorce or a widowhood or something like that who has just stayed out of the finance part of things
And don't
and
have a clue.
they don't have a clue.
They don't know how much money they have. They don't know what's supposed to come in. They don't know the value even of their home because they've lived in a world where it was customary, for generally the man to take on the finances. And I cannot imagine how scary that would be. Now, I say that in all fairness. I think there's men who live with women who take on that role. And the
Mhm.
man, upon the death of his wife, doesn't have a clue either. Do you get clients of women who are married and say, listen, his is his, mine is mine, and I need to, forge my own path?
I do, and I get clients these I actually love these clients. I get clients where the men are like, "I want her to be involved in finance, and she wants nothing to do with it, but I
Oh,
really want her in this with me." And they figure that if they come to me, like, she might be willing to talk to.
yeah,
And so
I
I
say.
love that. I work a lot of times with those women too that have
Right.
husbands that aren't involved in the finances, and I try just as hard to get them involved in it as I do, the opposite
Yeah.
arrangement.
What advice would you give to women who are married or in a partnership of any kind where finances are commingled and one party has more, uh, uh, I don't know if the word is always control, sometimes it is, but one party has more control or handles the finances more than the other? What advice do you give to both parties so that neither would be left basically holding the bag if something happened to the other.
I think that's just make sure that you show up to the meetings. Like, I do think you should have a financial advisor, because they're able to, kind of get both parties in the room and find out what their values are. When I was talking about planning according to your values, a lot of times husbands and wives have different priorities and different values. And
That's
in that
true.
case, I kind of serve as a neutral observer, and we
Yeah.
kind of help make sure that neither one of them gets everything they want,
Right.
and neither one of them gets nothing that
Nothing
they
that they
want.
want. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
we kind of help that situation a little bit. But I think that I would say to that woman, make sure you're in the room, make sure you know what is happening with the finance.
Hmm.
Like, don't be left in the dark. And most of the time, their spouse or partner, if they're a good partner, they will want them involved. If they aren't, and you're seeing some signs that you're being pushed out of any of the decisions on money making, anything like that, then I would say you probably need to make sure that you've got your own account, because you want to make sure that you have some sense of security. If you're not being allowed into those rooms, into those discussions, that's usually not a great situation to be in.
I would think not. But I want to kind of switch gears because we live in a world of DIY. How do you deal with the DIY mentality, even about finances? Because I don't think I've ever thought about the fact that when you're not getting a financial planner or a financial advisor, you truly are DIYing your own financial future.
Well, I will say that there's some sort of statistic out there that says that with a financial planner, you generally get some percentage more year over year. And I think it was 4 or 5%, but I can't be sure of that. So we add value
Right.
just because we're in it all day, every day. There's a lot of people out there that they would love to DIY, but they don't have the time. I would say that the percentage is pretty low for those that actually do take care of and keep track of it, because there's always something more exciting to do. If finance isn't in your blood and you don't love it at a 10 like I do, like, there's
Yeah.
always something more exciting to
I
do.
don't know, Lori. I think you love it at an 11, but that's a whole nother thing. I think there are aspects to it that I feel like about other big purchases in my life. It will take me forever, and when I say forever, months to years to make a big purchase like a car
Uh-huh.
or something like that because I'm so afraid I'm going to make a mistake.
Mhm.
Is that common or is that just Stacey's anxiety?
No, no. There's a lot of people that will say, "Well, I would invest, but there's a war starting. I would invest, but the wrong president got in the White House. I would
Yeah.
invest, but what about interest rates? What about the tariffs?" Like,
Right.
these are just things that I've heard this year,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So there's always uncertainty in the market. There
Yeah.
there just is. And yet, if you look at a chart of the market, it trends up over time. So you
Really?
just yeah,
Okay.
what I do with my clients is, if I've got someone that's really risk averse or very scared, is we start them um, slow.
The big question is if you feel like you are ready to approach a financial advisor, what should you be looking for when selecting the right financial advisor for you?
Oh, yeah, I did an entire podcast on this question because I feel like it's really important. I would say number one, I think you should look for a CFP. So that's a certified financial planner. And the reason is, you can call yourself a financial planner. All you have to do is take a test. That's all you have
Oh,
to do. You study for, I don't know, anywhere between 1 month and 3 months if you're a good test taker, and you take the test. And that's it. You can call yourself a financial planner and set yourself up to take to take clients. And the CFP is 6 classes, in depth. Each of the classes take a piece of financial planning, they take about 2 or 3 months to finish. So it's like getting kind
Mm,
of a bachelor's degree in
yeah,
finance. And so it takes usually about a year minimum to get a CFP designation. And by the time you're done, you know pretty much a little bit about everything in finance. And
right.
so as you're listening to clients, you've got the experience behind you. And I would not trust my funds with someone who doesn't have that designation at a minimum. I would say number 2, I found that you get financial planners and they get your money, they date you, and then it's like you date, they ask you to marry them. You're like, yes, I will. You go to the wedding, you show up at the honeymoon, and they're like, and here's Joe. He's going to take care of your
Ah,
accounts.
yes, yes. Yeah,
And I'm like, I hate that. I hate
yeah,
when you engage with a financial planner, it is a relationship.
right,
You're trusting that person, and you trust that person not to hand you off to someone else, not to
right.
ignore your calls. Like you're engaging in a relationship.
That's a great analogy to explain that, yeah. Hold that thought. We'll be right back after this message.
You know her, the woman who raised you, or maybe helped raise someone else. The one who's always been there, holding it together with grace, grit, and more strength than most people will ever understand. She didn't ask for much. She just showed up every single day. And now, the house is quieter. The days feel a little longer, but her story isn't over. Not even close. There's a world waiting for her, and a community too. These are the women of Sisterhood Travels. Smart, bold, curious. They're teachers, artists, caregivers. Some retired, some starting something new, and they found it together. She won't be a stranger. She'll be part of something real. She'll be safe. She'll be supported. And she'll come home with more than souvenirs. She'll bring back stories, friendships, and a light that maybe got a little dim for a while. If there's a woman in your life, your mom, your aunt, your mentor, your best friend, and you know she spent years being there for everyone else, tell her about Sisterhood Travels, because it's her time, now. The next chapter is calling. Share it with her.
Let's dive right back in. Here we go. It's funny because I've had friends who have told me that, my guy left and now I'm with some other, young guy who doesn't know what he's doing. They're so upset and disgusted sometimes, but perfect way to explain that. Yeah.
Mhm. And I will say that I am a big proponent of women in finance. So there is almost always I am training someone underneath me, but I do take those actually, who I train them on is my family.
Ah.
I tell my kids, I'm like, they've got a new financial planner every time I get a new intern.
See, why not? Yeah,
And I'm like,
right.
they don't pay me, so they're the guinea pigs. But I do a lot of training and stuff like that because I want a lot more women in this industry.
What is the gender divide?
Oh, it's awful, Stacey. It's awful.
What
There
is
is
it?
it was about 20 years ago, I think it was about 16%. Now it's about 18%.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Financial planners. Now you're gonna see women in the industry. They're in
Right.
admin a lot of times. They're in back office, but they are not doing the financial planning. And that statistic is anywhere between 18 and 20%, but not higher than that.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that the growth has been unbelievably slow, almost stagnant, really, over the last 20 years? And is there anything that's being done within the industry to attract more women to the field?
They have, and they actually, Michael Kitsis, he's a financial planner that kind of talks to financial planners. And he's had the same question, and he's like, it's been stuck at basically, 20% for like 25 years now. And we're
Right.
bringing more women into the industry, but they're quitting again. And I think there's a lot of reasons. I think one of them is it just isn't it's a it's a boys club a lot of times. So they don't find mentors that look and act like them.
Right.
So as women in the industry, as we help mentor and grow those young women, we're going to start seeing more come into the industry. It is a great industry for women. I mean, it truly is. It just is. The scheduling is forgiving, and we're good at it. We're good at those relationship
Right.
building sort of professions, and so we're
Yeah.
good listeners, and we're smart. We can do finance. I think that's the second reason that we don't have as many women in there, is that we were told from a young age that we're not good at math. Even today,
Right.
and I find that so sad, but even today, by the time they're in like 3rd or 4th or 5th grade, girls are getting the message, boys are better at math than you. You're not as good at it.
Listen, I grew up believing I was terrible at math, and I lived out that reality,
Mhm, mhm.
and math today still gives me the, but I think if I go back in time and I could redo it and had the confidence that I have now just about life in general, I probably would have kicked math's ass. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amen. I've got girls myself, and you may not be interested in that field, but they're not bad at it. They're
Right.
good at it. And that educational piece too in high school. I've got a friend, Amy Sherman, who works in Colorado trying to get finance in the schools so
Right.
that you've got more exposure to it. But yeah,
Right.
there is no way girls are bad at math. Girls can be engineers, girls can be finance majors, girls can be math majors, girls can do whatever boys can do.
Well, now you do see a lot of women, I think the engineering field has certainly exploded with women, thank God. But it's interesting. I didn't realize that the percentage was so low of women in the finance industry. How do you know you can trust your financial planner? What are warning signs that maybe danger, danger, Will Robinson, time to do something else?
Mhm. I think if they're trying to sell you a product, it's a good sign. So a lot of the finance is actually set up to sell you things that you maybe don't need. If you're an independent financial advisor, like I don't have any quotas. I don't have any
Right,
specific products or specific company that's trying to get me to sell their stuff. I can look around and say, okay, this is the best investment for you. And I don't have to try and sell them some specific thing, life
right.
insurance or annuities or something like that.
Like with the brokerage houses and things like
A
that?
lot of
Okay.
times, yeah, if they're working for a company, a specific company, say an insurance company or something like that, then
Right.
they'll have to sell a certain number of their products.
I see.
And if all you have to sell is oranges, like everyone needs an orange, right?
Right.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good sign that, hey, if they're not educating me and helping me to understand and just trying to sell me, like that's a good sign that you maybe need to look around. I think that you should get at least two opinions anyway, like kind of
Right.
look and see if there's someone that fits with your personality a little bit better. And second, I would say if your advisor is not calling you back, if you only talk to them once a year and it's because you call them rather than them calling you, I don't like that. I
Yeah.
just don't like it. I
Yeah.
think that's a bad sign.
Are there a list of questions or, like you don't have to go through the entire list, but are there certain like non-negotiable questions you should be asking a financial planner or a financial advisor when you do want to see if they're a good fit for you?
I think you need to ask them what, their fee structure, but kind of the word we bandy around is fiduciary. Are you a fiduciary? But what you're trying to get at is, are they working on your behalf or on their behalf? Um,
Ah,
like if they're getting paid for selling you a certain product, then there's a conflict of interest there.
right. They're not a fiduciary.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
If they are getting paid, we use like assets under management. The more you make, the more I make. That
Yes.
puts our goals in alignment. We're going in the same direction. I'm not getting paid if you buy this specific product. I'm getting paid as you make more money, I make more money.
Right.
Or fee only a lot of times. Then they don't get paid anymore, whether or not you
Right.
buy an annuity or an insurance policy or an investment account. So I think that understanding that, and then there's a lot of fees hidden inside of mutual funds and investment mixes. And so I always would like to know, like, how, if you've got a model portfolio, things that you invest me in, like, how much am I paying to their managers and why? Like, why is that? Because sometimes they'll get a commission off of
Yeah.
charging you higher, you go into more expensive mutual funds. So I would ask a lot of questions about fees and then kind of ask about their customer service model. Like, what do you do? I cannot fix the market. Like Lori, like if I
Right.
could,
Yeah.
if I
I know
could,
you would.
I would own my own island and my own yacht, and it would be
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
So, like, you're going to have accounts go up and down with the market. That is just the way it is. But
Right.
I think that you need to understand, like, what kind of service am I getting? Am I going to talk to you once a year, twice a year?
Right.
How are you going to get to know me? How do I know that we can trust each other?
Right. What are the actions that one can take if they find out that their financial advisor has not been trustworthy and possibly has committed acts that go against their fiduciary responsibility or even criminally?
Yeah. I will say, Stacey, that the industry is really pretty good on the compliance side of making sure that doesn't happen. There are a few, and I'm just gonna say there's a few bad apples out there, but in
As with
general,
any, yeah.
yeah, in general, the all the regulations, like they watch my trades, they watch
Right.
and I love it. I love that they do that because I
Right.
think that makes sure that I am not doing anything that I shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So if you do end up in a situation where you're getting taken advantage of, I definitely, leave the advisor.
Right.
But there are regulatory bodies, SEC, FINRA, stuff like that,
Mhm.
that you can, file complaints and seek redress in that way. I would say that there's this broker check and advisor check. And they're two reporting, like they're internet reporting kind of agencies where you can look up and see if the advisor or the broker that you're looking at, if they've got any dings against their name,
Oh,
if they
okay.
have any complaints against them, stuff like that. So those are
That's great.
good
Yeah.
places to look.
Are you licensed in your state or are you bound by federal regulations? How does that work?
I work under a registered investment advisor and they Tandem Wealth and they are registered with the SEC, which means that it's national
So you can work with women or men, clients in any state.
in
Okay.
any state. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And is that true for most financial advisors?
Yeah, it depends. Some registered investment advisors, which is actually the company that you work under,
Right.
they are registered only in certain states because they're under the threshold to be registered at the national level. So they would only work with you in certain states because that's what they're
I see.
registered in.
Now, what I didn't ask you is how did you come up with the name Fearless Financial Advisors and Fearless Females?
Yeah, so Fearless Females was my podcast. It actually that's what started the brand was the Fearless brand was the
Right.
Fearless Females. And I loved the idea of both being fearless, being just a little bit brave. Like
Yeah.
it takes just a little bit of bravery
Yes.
to come into finance, to say, "Hey, I'm ready to start saving for my future. I'm ready to start investing."
Right.
It's a little bit fearless to do that. And the idea of fearing less about your future. One of my values is peace of mind, and I feel so strongly that you should understand your finances. You should
Right.
understand where you're investing, what you're doing, so
Yeah.
that you can sleep well at night. If you're not sleeping well at night, I'm not sleeping well at night. So I want to make sure
Aw.
that you fear less about your financial future. That's fear less financial advisors.
Fearless. I
Hmm.
like that a lot. So, my last question for you is what's next, do you think, in the world of finance for, especially for women, of things that might be coming on the horizon that we don't even know are possibilities for us to protect our financial futures?
I think that there is a whole wide, big world open to women. I think we're going to have, they call it the great wealth transfer. We're outliving our male partners. And so a lot of times we're inheriting,
Right.
if we're in the boomer era, we're inheriting the fortune that they made and learning how to take the reins in that financial future. We also
Yeah.
are divorcing. There's a lot of gray divorce, and so we're getting access to funds that we hadn't
Yeah.
had before. And I think that women are going to find I'm so excited about this, Stacey. I think
Yeah.
women are going to find out that they can do finance, that they are good
That's
at it.
exciting to me too. Even at my
Yeah.
ripe old age, I'm like, I need to call Lori after this and like start talking
Yes, you
about
do.
this on a more personal level. Because
Yeah.
I think you're right, and I love how you called it the great wealth transfer.
Mhm.
Because for too long, women have been not recipients in a liberating, free way of wealth.
Mhm.
Very few women.
And I think that as we see that, transfer, we're also gonna see women come into their power financially. They're going to start demanding good service and answers to their questions and financial education that they deserve, and they're gonna just start demanding it for their daughters and granddaughters who are already raising their hands saying, "Hey, we wanna be involved in this." I think that the entire financial landscape is gonna change in the next 20 years because you're gonna see a lot more women in there, and I'm so excited to see it happen.
And I'm excited that you're such a great big part of it, the way you're mentoring young girls and, training interns. I mean, that's huge. I mean, giving them an opportunity to see what a rewarding life and career it can be. And I would imagine in order to be truly successful in the way that certainly you define and that I define and value based, that you actually need to care about your clients and their
Yeah.
well being. It's not about just what's going in your pocket.
Oh, I 100% agree, Stacey, and that is such a core part of who I am and who I want to be and show up for as my clients. I want to be a part of their life. I want to be a part of their journey. I want to share that. It gives
Yeah.
me such great joy to watch them pass those, not just the money and the legacy, but the values and what they've learned down to their kids and grandkids.
Yeah, and
What a
and
journey.
fulfilling their dreams, like
Yes.
you say. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, Lori, thank you so much because this has actually been very fascinating for me, and I think our audience is going to find it quite fascinating as well. Is there any last words of wisdom that you'd like to offer our listeners?
Yeah, well, I always tell people, I'm like, "Stay fearless." Like, take that chance. If you're scared, take the chance that, like, maybe reaching out to a financial advisor, you could make your dreams come true. Stay fearless
Right. And fearless.
and
Be
fearless.
fearless
Exactly.
and fearless. I
I
love
love it.
that. Might be my today motto that I'm going to just get out there in the universe.
Well, thank you so, so much for having this conversation with me.
If you liked this show, please be sure to like us, follow us, subscribe to us, give us a review, because it really helps grow our podcast.